Hi everyone, and welcome back to this month's There's More event. We want to begin by recognizing that USD is on the land of the Kumeyaay Nation. For millennia, the Kumeyaay people have been a part of this land. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the USD community, it is important that we acknowledge this legacy. We promote this balance and harmony and find inspiration from this land, the land of the Kumeyaay. As many of you know, and for those of you that are new, There's More is a live storytelling initiative put on by the Humanity Center and the Changemaker Hub. Our goal with these stories is to bring out raw, meaningful experiences of the human condition. The stories come in many forms, such as more human, more insight, more change, and more dialogue. Every month, myself and my fellow student producer, Lily Yates, who's also a speaker this month, put on this live event focusing on different and relevant themes and ideas. This is our second time doing this virtually, and we're really excited that everyone has come to join us for this. We then take recordings of the event, produce them, and put them on our There's More podcast. Just a quick reminder that you can find us on iTunes at There's More and at there'smore.sandiego.edu. I want to thank our faculty producer and advisor, Diane Keeling, who has been a strong guiding force in the execution of tonight's event, as well as the lead up to it. And I also want to thank our sponsors, Noelle Norton, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Lindy Villa with the Humanity Center, and Mike Williams and Juan Carlos Rivas with the Changemaker Hub. Our theme for this month that we decided on is normal. This theme, like all of our themes, can be interpreted as the storyteller wishes it to be. This theme felt especially relevant with everyone trying to find their own pockets of normal and really redefining what normal means to them. Next, we have a woman who hails from Romania and is actually officially from Dracula's bloodline. With an official certificate acknowledging her lineage as Romanian royalty, we have Associate Professor of Economics, Dr. Adriana Vamosiu, sharing her story, Why Am I Not Normal?
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming and joining us. That is indeed my heritage. And when I applied for citizenship in the United States, I had to give up my royal title. But that part of the story I don't like to share because I still like to think I'm a little. My story today will be actually a series of 2 stories about normality. And normality is both an individual and a social construct. At the individual level, what may seem normal to me, based on my upbringing and my experiences, may seem abnormal to the person sitting next to me. We often define normal for ourselves based on what we see around us. And that's why it's so hard to convince me to eat watermelon with salt on it, because I have never heard of that until I was 26. At the societal level, we tend to adopt and follow social norms, including definitions or expectations of what is the normal way to act or talk or even feel in certain situations. I would like to share 2 short stories of normality. One on normality is defined by my own personal experiences, and the second, as it pertains to normality, is defined for me by society and our norms. And yes, both have a small COVID component, because nothing can question normality and put it under the microscope in our own personal or societal definition, like a global pandemic. I left Romania, a small country in Eastern Europe, when I was 15 for my first study abroad experience in the United States. Back then, dial-up internet was the newest way to send letters to loved ones that would get there instantly with a touch of a button. Now, fast forward from being 15 to my sophomore year in college. The Skype telecommunications application launched. It was the first free service at the time. This is back in the day when there were no smartphones, FaceTime, no Google Hangouts. These were just a dwindle in the inventor's eye. Video calls improved my ability to communicate with family and friends in Romania tremendously. Now, to put this into perspective for the younger audience today, my first webcam's resolution was so low, even though this was the top of the line webcam, that I couldn't wear stripes or gesticulate much when talking. But video calls did introduce a new normal in my life at that time when they were just not popular yet. That's where talking, laughing, and crying with loved ones over video calls was the next best thing to being in the same physical room with each other. It was now our normal way of being together as a family. Little did I know how my personal normal would play out in my professional life. When the global pandemic moved us to an online learning environment, I would stay up at night thinking, how will I connect with the students in this environment? Body language and movement is such a big part of how I communicate that I didn't know how I could teach any other way. But on the first day of remote classes, the disruption of being on a video call for class was less impactful for me than many of my faculty colleagues, some seniors to me. Zoom classes, turns out, were just another form of a video call. My normal way of talking to loved ones had now just spilled over into my professional life. And not surprisingly, much of this was true for my junior and senior students too. After all, they're so much younger. They come from the era of smartphones and FaceTime. Our normal way of communicating in our personal lives had just become the new normal in our professional lives. Yes, we were figuring out how to adjust to a few minor aspects of this new professional normal, such as, is it okay to eat while on a Zoom call like we do in person? Or how dressed up should I be for Zoom class? But these are relatively small adjustments to make to our new normal compared to all the other health and financial changes in our lives and those of our loved ones at this time. I had a much harder time internalizing and later even questioning normality as a social construct when it comes to parenting. I grew up learning that social norms and expectations are to be internalized, even when they go against our intuition and experiences. Once the pandemic happened and daycares closed, our adorable 4-year-old was home around the clock. At her age, it was hard for her to understand what had happened to her normal life, getting to go to daycare and play with her friends every day. So her best response was to have mommy be her new best friend every second of the day. So we were very blessed to have a very kind taker who spent time with her when I was teaching. My heart should have been full and I should have been the happiest I ever been. At least that's what society says it's normal for a mother to want to spend as much time as possible with her child, and for a mother to want to be around her child all the time. For a mom to be so excited about reading the same story over and over again, about coloring, painting, and singing together with her daughter every day. For a mom to think silly chalk drawings for hours are the best of times. For a mom to enjoy fun walks around the neighborhood with her little daughter, turn into scavenger hunts for yellow flowers and green rocks and birdhouses. That's what normal moms want and enjoy. So what was wrong with me? I would often find myself checking the time to see if it was bedtime yet, or running into another room to be alone for a bit the moment my husband stepped out from his office, or resenting that loud scream at 5:10 a.m., "Mom, I'm up." Why am I not normal? We are so blessed to live in a detached home with a backyard. Other moms have it so hard in small condos or apartment buildings with their kids at home. I should be so happy. Why am I not so happy to have Julia around 24/7? The guilt of not fitting society's definition of a normal mom would keep me up at night. I have still not found out why I'm not normal for society standards, and I know I get judged for it. But I also know there are other not normal moms out there, and they are women that I have known for a long time and greatly admire. Maybe we can still be good parents without fitting society's normal expectations of parenting. Or just maybe the pandemic revealed that what's normal to do or feel as a parent does not apply in extreme times.
Thank you so much for that story, Dr. Vamosiu. I think we can all agree that navigating what family life looks for us and what normal looks for us has been so difficult. I think we can all relate to that story. We have my fellow student producer here at There's More, Lily Yates. Lily is a communication major, music minor, who has recently become obsessed with the Netflix show The Witcher, unfortunately just in time for midterm season. Performing her slam poem, Too Big to Fall, Lily Yates.
This poem I actually wrote a little bit over a year ago, and it was just sort of about growing up in the process of getting older and sort of discovering what is normal, what is the normal optimism or pessimism. But obviously, in light of everything that has happened in the past 8 months or so, that discussion has taken on a whole new meaning. And I think this poem really resonates with me in terms of the importance of hope. So this one's called Too Big to Fall. The air smelled like green on zipline day. That heady earthen scent of wet leaves baking slow in the sunlight. The humid breeze exalted it, gently circling my neck, lifting those little curls on my temple that never quite seemed to grow any. The rest of my hair was matted, sweat under the hollow helmet I knocked on, sweat under the harness straps tight against my hips, heart screaming out the message, do you know, my safety rope is the only thing still tethering me to the wood beneath my tennis shoes, nothing but nothing, and air below that, and I stepped. You have to start high. You have to breathe your trust in and out to make your feet move forward. The trust you breathe when you tell the boy with the brown speckled eyes you maybe sort of might have a crush on him as he sits at this sticky gray lunch table. The trust that baby deer are born with under shelter of leaves, that we are born with under shelter of soft muslin blankets. You have to start high. Tiny hands gripping tiny hands, crescent moon sliver fingernails, swaying not quite in time up on that tall stage with a cardboard jungle backdrop, nursery rhymes floating down to beaming parents in the folding chairs below. Glorious kid confidence streaming out with every wrong note, oblivious to performance reviews, warmth vibrating a body from inside, and pitch your voice so it smacks the ceiling and gets lost in the roar of others. At summer camp, you have to start high. I stepped off the platform and flew, but in the forest inside me, I don't know when I fell. When I stopped inhaling trust and optimism, roof smacking, yelling, and started coughing on fear, on the toxic carbon dioxide of the pressing crowds all around me. I don't know when the assumption that people were beyond hope got into my bloodstream. At summer camp, I flew and I finally saw what a dragonfly sees, iridescent wings outstretched, breath of trees rushing past, turning the wall of bark rushing toward me at the bottom of the curve, inevitable, unmoving, final, terrible. I wonder which birthday candle it was my breath blew out that extinguished the flying in me. Sometimes when I walk between the sky-high high-rises and the cracked concrete curves, I catch some errant current, some soft-baked, summer-camped warmth, green leaves before sewer gas and exhaust catch up with me. It reminds me what wide eyes and tight fingernails and wind feel like. I look down to my rubber soles just for a moment, sprout feathers, and look up. Thank you.
That was wonderful. I recently celebrated a birthday, and that feeling of blowing out a candle and it just kind of hitting you that what's going on. That was beautifully written. Thank you again, everyone, for sharing your stories.